Good morning and namaste. My name is Suzanne Silvermoon from Indigo Lotus Yoga, here to offer you a morning glow yoga practice. So please gather your yoga mat, a blanket, perhaps one block if you know you need it, and a yoga belt, and I'll meet you on the mat. To begin our practice this morning, we come to a seated position, cross-legged if comfortable. So we use a folded yoga blanket with the folded edge underneath the buttock bones to provide just a little bit of lift to the pelvis so that we're comfortable. If you're doing this practice like I am at 6 in the morning, you've probably likely just woken up and done your morning rituals of cleansing and purification and are ready now for your yoga practice. So perhaps there's still a little tightness in the body, which is of course why we're doing a yoga practice. So I invite you to just create a little ease in your body by lifting the pelvis slightly by sitting on a blanket. Of course, if you know your body is nice and open in the hips and low back, you may not need this. So we tuck that blanket under. I'll invite you to lean out to the side and draw the flesh of the buttocks away from the buttock bones as you sit them down onto that folded edge of the blanket. We'll draw the thumb and the forefinger together into Yana Mudra, and then softly close the eyes. A yoga asana practice is a physical practice, but we begin by aligning our sense of awareness to that inner wisdom, to the quiet, objective observer that dwells within each and every one of our hearts, so that the practice is aligned with this witness. From that witness place in the heart, cultivate a grounding at the base of the body, the quality of surrendering with the pelvic bones and the legs, the outer edges of the feet. Let the shoulder blades and arms feel that sense of grounding as they descend downward. Bring the awareness to the center of the pelvic floor muscles, and if you can, engage a contraction, a pulling upward of those pelvic floor muscles. If you don't quite yet have access to that awareness, you can bring your awareness just to the lower abdominal muscles below the navel, drawing inward and up from those lower abdominal muscles. From that contracted pelvic floor or lower abdominal muscles, create elevation, rise in your spine, lifting and lengthening between each vertebrae of the spine as your awareness lifts upward. At the level of the shoulder blades, release again. Soften the shoulder blades downward toward the hips and pull the bottom tips of the shoulder blades toward the spine. You should feel the elbows drawing closer to the ribs, the sternum or the breastbone lifting, and the collarbones lengthening out from the sternum to the shoulder heads. Align your ears over your shoulders. Soften the tongue away from the upper palate. Let it rest in the bottom of the mouth. Let the eyeballs release backward in the orbits of your skull. Softening the face, softening the jaw. Bringing the awareness to the crown of the head and feel a sense of openness to the universe above your head. Turn your attention to your breath, slowly beginning to cultivate a deepening of the breath, using the muscles of the torso strategically. As you initiate your inhalation, soften the upper abdomen, allowing the diaphragm to descend downward, bringing the breath down into the bases of the lungs. As you continue your inhalation, expand fully through the rib cage. And at the end of the breath, feel the collarbones lift skyward. With your exhalation, we'll draw downward with the collarbones. Squeeze in through the rib cage, pulling toward the center, and at the end of your exhalation, draw the upper abdomen backward toward the spine. Again, as you inhale, the abdomen expands, the rib cage expands, the collarbones rise. And as you exhale, the collarbones descend, the ribs squeeze toward the center, and then the belly is drawn backward toward the spine. Breathing in this way brings the mind's attention to focus on the breath. This focus on the breath lets the rest of the external world fall away, so that all of the attention is brought to this beautiful rhythm. Breathing in the life force energy, the prana coming into the body. Breathing out, allowing the waste to easily leave the body and the prana to distribute itself throughout the body, throughout the energy system. We'll shift our hands to prayer position in front of the heart. Seating our awareness again into the heart center. The teachings of yoga remind us that the truest part of our being, the purest part, the consciousness, the awareness that dwells within the body, dwells within our heart center. So it is from this place that we evaluate, we observe. What is it that we need from our yoga practice this morning? It could be something for the body. It could be the mind, the emotions, or our spirit. But we listen to all the levels of our being from our heart center in this moment in preparation for our practice. And then set our intention for our practice from this awareness. With intention set, we'll offer up a single chant of the mantra Om. Softly and gently reopen the eyes. Let the hands come back down onto the legs and then extend the legs for just a moment. Giving them a little wiggle, perhaps a little massage, welcoming the blood flow back down through the legs. feeling like you're got that blood flowing again, we're going to recross the legs in the opposite direction. So bringing the opposite leg in first to balance out the work in the hip joints. So bringing the hands onto the knees. Give a little weight into the hands on the knees to encourage that opening up at the hip joints. Flex into the ankles to point the toes forward. And then we'll elevate from that contracted pelvic floor or contracted lower abdominal muscles. Elevate up through the spine, particularly through the neck. And then with your exhalation, softly release the neck down into the notch between the collarbones and enjoy a couple of long, slow, deep breaths, breathing in again from the abdomen through the ribs to the collarbones. Exhaling, dropping down the collarbones, pulling in the rib cage, and then draw the abdomen toward the spine. One more long breath in this way. Inhaling now, we'll slowly, with the whole length of your inhalation, lift the chin all the way up toward the sky and arcing through the cervical spine of the neck as if you have a little ball behind your neck and that the cervical spine is lengthening up and over that ball rather than letting the head just hang back like this. There's activity of the muscles to hold that arc. Lifting the chin, lengthening the whole of the front of the neck, opening up this energy center. And then the next inhalation, slowly matching the work with the breath. Bring the head back up to a neutral position. Exhaling again, draw the chin down and into the notch between the collarbones. Inhaling, roll your chin across the right chest. And at the end of the breath, lift the chin to look up and back behind the right shoulder. Exhaling, roll back down through the right chest. Inhale, roll the chin across the left chest. At the end of the breath, look up and back behind the left shoulder. Exhaling, roll down through the left chest back to the center. Inhaling, lift the gaze to look straight ahead. Interlace your fingers now in front of your chest and turn the palms away. Press the hands straight ahead, elongating through the arms, and feel that deep stretch through the backs of the shoulders. As you press out through the fingers, feel the stretch go down the arm muscles, the fascia of the palms stretching out. Inhaling now, the arms will float upward, aligning the upper arm bones alongside the ears. If comfortable, you can take your gaze up to the fingers as you press the palms toward the sky and equally root down through the hip bones, through the legs to create stability in the base of the body as you lengthen up, stretching through the arms, particularly underside of the shoulder joint. Exhaling now, releasing the fingers, float the arms down, taking them behind the back, and then interlace your fingers with the palms facing the sky. Reach the interlaced fingers toward the floor and feel the shoulder blades coming in around the back body, wrapping in around the middle of the spine. With your next inhalation, slowly lift the arms away from the back just as much as possible, keeping the ears aligned over the shoulders and the shoulders over your hips. Beautiful stretch across the chest, the fronts of the shoulder joints. And then with your exhalation now, softly, slowly release the arms back down. Unlace the fingers, and then sweep your arms up overhead with a big inhalation. Exhaling, turn the torso toward the left. The right hand drops to the left knee, the left hand on the floor behind you. Press into the hand behind you to help elevate through the spine. As you exhale, use the leverage of the hand at your knee to twist and look behind you. If it's possible and comfortable in your body, you can bend that left elbow, wrap the hand around the back, and maybe hook the fingers onto the opposite right thigh or right hip crease. If that's not possible, it's better to keep the hand on the floor and help elevate the spine. Turning all the way up from the lower spine through the neck. Let the eyes seek out a drishti or a gazing point behind your left shoulder. And then exhaling now, softly, slowly unwind and face the forward. Inhaling, the arms rise up overhead again. Reaching out through the fingers, rooting down through the buttock bones. Exhaling, turn to the right. The left hand going to the right knee, the right hand on the floor behind you. Rooting down through the heel of the right hand to elevate through the spine. Exhaling and twisting toward the right. Again, as you root down through the hand, you elevate the spine. And as you exhale, soften and release into the posture. Again, you might bend that right elbow, reaching the hand around the back body, hooking onto the left thigh or left hip crease. The eyes seeking a drishti or gazing point over the right shoulder. With our exhalation, softly, slowly releasing the posture, coming back around to face front. Inhale, we'll create a little more resiliency and openness in the shoulders, so rolling the shoulders forward, up. Exhale, back and down. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, back and down. One more time, forward and up. Back and down, and then switching direction, inhaling back and up, exhaling forward and down. Inhale back and up, exhale forward and down. 2 more rounds. Very nice. And then coming back to a neutral position. We'll switch our position now, shifting to a tabletop position with the wrists directly underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. If you have a hard floor underneath your yoga mat at home, you can take your blanket and unfold it on your yoga mat and tuck it underneath your knees to create some nice cushion for underneath the knee joints. Okay, so we'll place the hands, again, directly under the shoulders, knees under the hips, the tops of the feet directly behind the knees, and spread out as wide as you can through your toes and through your fingers. With your inhalation, begin to sway the spine, moving from the pelvis and rolling the movement up the spine till finally the neck looks up. Exhaling, arching the spine, again moving from the pelvis through the low back into the mid back, finally the neck as you look back. Back and forth, inhaling, swaying the spine into cow pose. Exhaling, arching the spine into cat pose. And we're looking to roll the movement up the spine, encouraging an ascending energy coming up from the base of the spine through the central core, upward toward the head. Moving nice and slow, linking the movement with your breath allows our consciousness to be mindful of all the sensations. Where is there ease in the body? And where is there congestion or tightness, resistance? And then now we'll bring it on back to a neutral spine, and then bring the knees and the sides of the big toes together. With an exhalation, softly begin to fold at the hips and the knees, dropping down into Utthita Garbhasana, extended child's pose. The fingers reaching for the front of the mat, laying the ribs down across the tops of the thighs, and eventually perhaps the forehead can come down to the mat. If that isn't possible in your body, a block, it can be your friend. We'll bring the block and place it so that the forehead can rest on the block. And perhaps you might need it up at a higher level, or perhaps the highest level. So doing what feels good and right in your body. Breathing as slow and deep as you can. Next inhalation, slowly lift. Rising back and reestablish yourself in your tabletop position. So we'll spread our knees apart slightly, setting the knee joints so they're directly underneath the hips again. Spread wide in your fingers, press down through the palms of the hands and the bases of the index finger and thumb. From the shoulder joints, roll the arms open, external rotation of the shoulder joint. Curl your toes under so the bases of the toes are now on the mat, keeping the feet hip distance apart. Slowly begin to lift the knees and the hips, straightening out the legs, coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana posture. Downward facing dog. On your inhalation, bend the right knee and press down into the left heel and into the left hip. Exhale, switching sides, bend the left knee, press into the right heel and hip. And then with your breath, back and forth, inhaling, right knee bends. Exhaling, left knee bends. Just a little movement, linking with breath. And then inhaling, bend both knees deeply. Tip your buttock bones up to the sky and press the front of your mat away from you with your hands to draw the torso back towards your thighs. With your next exhalation, keep that anterior pelvic tilt, the buttock bones lifted to the sky, and slowly straighten your knees. Try if you can to lower the heels all the way to the floor. If not, just keep energetically reaching for the floor with the heels. The ears line up alongside the upper arm bones. The gaze, if you can turn inward and look towards your navel. The front thighs remain contracted. The pelvic floor can contract into Mula Bandha. Next inhalation, look to the front of your mat toward your hands, and then root down through your left foot, lift your right leg up behind you. Exhaling, draw the knee toward your chest and step the right foot up to the outside of your right wrist. Drop the left knee and top of the foot onto the mat. Now, you can either stay here on your hands or you can begin to deepen this stretch. The next stage would be to place a block in front of you and maybe rest your forearms onto the block. If you're feeling good and comfortable going to that level, you could maybe try lowering the block to the next level, coming down further. And eventually, you may be able to lower your forearms all the way down to the mat. In the posture in Anjani Asana, the toes are pointed forward. The instep of the foot to begin remains grounded onto the mat, stretching out through the left toes. The bent right knee is moving out toward the side. After a few breaths like this, you can then try lifting the instep of the right foot upward, and that will change the work of the stretch into the hip rotators of the right hip. Down the IT band, the outer thigh, and also in through the adductors, the inside of that right thigh. With an exhalation, we'll root down that right instep again and bring the hands back up underneath the shoulders. So remaining in this posture, root the hands, the left hand downward into the mat. Inhale and take the right hand up and around. Spin the torso, the left ribs coming toward the right. Nice little stretch here. If you want to make the pose a little more active, you could try curling the toes under on the left foot and lifting the knee off of the mat to be a little more active. Otherwise, you can keep the left knee down on the mat. Exhaling now, we'll take that right hand back down. If you've lifted your left knee, we'll put that back down. And then step the right foot back into your tabletop position. So reestablishing yourself with the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Curl your toes under again, and then we'll press up into downward facing dog pose once again. So rooting down through the bases of the toes, the base of the thumb and the index fingers. Keep trying to press the front edge of your mat away from you, which will draw the torso back toward your thighs. If you can, try to tip the pelvis more, drawing the pubic bone through the thighs toward the tailbone. Or try to move your pubic bone away from your navel. Again, if you want to give it a try, the gaze can turn and look towards your navel. Rooting down now through the right foot, the left leg lifts up behind you. Inhaling, draw that left knee towards your chest, and then step the left foot up to the outside of your left wrist. The right knee and top of the foot will come on the mat. And then we get to experiment on this side, see what we have on this side. So either lowering the forearms to the block at whatever level is comfortable for you, or simply stay on the hands. Or if possible, dropping the body down onto forearms. Again, the left toes are pointing straight ahead. The instep of the foot remains grounded. And then after a few breaths, we can then lift the left instep off of the mat, deepening the stretch down the hip rotators, the IT band, and the adductors, the inseam of the left leg. We have a lovely gentle stretch of the iliopsoas muscle on the right leg, the leg that's behind you. So that's a muscle that runs from the side of the lower vertebrae of the spine, down in the inside of the wings of the hips, and in attaches to the inner thigh. So beautiful stretch of this muscle. Coming out of the pose, we'll set the instep of the left foot back down. If you're down on your forearms, we'll come back to our hands. Placing the weight of the body into the right hand, left arm extends out to the side, around, and we bring our body into that beautiful twist. Again, if you want to take this into a more active posture, you can curl the right toes under and lift the right knee off of the mat. Your gaze can be at the left thumb that's extended. If this is too much for you, just bring the right knee back down onto the mat. The right knee now is going to come back down. We'll lower that left hand. And again, bring that left knee back, just reestablishing ourselves into our tabletop position. Let's curl the toes under again, setting the bases of the toes down onto the mat. Inhale and lift the knees and the hips one more time, coming to downward facing dog pose. So lining ourselves up so the feet are hip distance apart. The front thigh muscles engaged, pulling into the bones. The front edge of the mat being pushed away from us as we draw the torso back towards the thighs. With our inhalation, let's look to the front of the mat and step the feet up, walking up to Uttanasana. So again, we're going to set the feet hip distance apart. If you can't reach the floor with straight knees, the knees bend as you reach the floor, I want you to take your yoga block and place it in front of your hands to whatever height you may need in order to straighten your knees. Being mindful not to hyperextend through the knee joints, we keep the quadriceps, the front thigh muscles, engaged so that we establish strength and power and support of the knee joints and not going to a hyperextended knee. All right. If you can reach the floor with ease, with straight knees, you can take your peace fingers and hook them onto the big toes. If you're on the block, that's perfectly fine. We work where we are in our bodies. With our inhalation, create length in the spine, pulling forward through the spine. With the exhalation, if you can, bend into the elbows a little bit, and we tip the pelvis forward. Keep lengthening the spine as you inhale, and descending down into the forward fold as you exhale. Next inhalation, slowly lift to a half lift. We'll bring the hands onto the upper hip bones. Pausing here, exhaling. Then inhale and we'll lift with a nice neutral spine coming up to Tadasana. Great, we've made it up. Okay, Tadasana is a profound yoga pose. It's a posture where we can reestablish a healthy posture in the body by consciously working in our standing position. So we want to align the legs so that the middle of the knee, the middle of the ankle bones, and the second and third toes are in a nice straight line. So feeling how that is in your body. We'll press down into the bases of the feet, the bases of the toes, and the inner and outer heel. Actively press into the earth. And as you press, you should feel the muscles of the lower legs gathering in around the bones. We'll also actively engage the front thighs, the quadricep muscles, pulling them into the bones, and that will feel that the kneecap draws to the knee joint and upward toward the hips. Okay. From there, again, we'll try to lift the pelvic floor muscles, engaging, lifting upward, and from that lift, or if it's the lower abdominal muscles that you have access to lift, we'll work from there. And then create that ascending quality up through the spine. The shoulder blades descend down towards the floor. The bottom tips of the shoulder blades draw in toward the spine. And you'll feel again how the elbows, just like we did in our opening meditation, will draw towards the ribs. The upper arm bones externally rotate and energetically reach the fingers towards the earth. Lift through the neck. The gaze is steady on one point in front of you. The tongue resting in the bottom of the mouth. The eyelids soft. Jaw soft. Tadasana is a marvelous pose to help us to cultivate connection, conscious connection into the earth, as well as a conscious reaching upward into the sky. So we feel ourselves as this marvelous conduit between the earth and the heavens above. In the center of it all, in the heart, dwells our awareness, our consciousness, present in this moment, feeling into that stillness, cultivating a sense of peace with that stillness. Next inhalation, a soft and slow elevation of the arms, reaching up. Bring the palms together at the top. Bring the dristi or gaze to the thumbs. With your exhalation, turn the arms out, and as if pressing through mud, the arms pressing slowly, active through the arms, folding out the hip creases, lifting the buttock bones as the pelvis tips forward, and then touch the earth at the bottom. Even if you have to bend your knees, touch the earth. Inhale, lift halfway up, bring the hands onto the legs. Exhale, bend the knees, and then touch the earth with the hands. Step the right foot back, and then the left foot back, establishing yourself into a high push-up pose. The wrists under the shoulders, the feet hip distance apart. Draw up the lower belly. Reach out through the heels and through the crown of the head. With your exhalation now, drop the knees and tops of the feet to the floor, and then slowly bend the elbows straight back alongside the ribs. Lower the pelvis, the belly, and then the chest and chin. Inhaling, press the pubic bone to the earth. Slowly lift the upper torso up into the highest expression of Bhujangasana as your body will say yes to. And then exhale and roll the spine back down. Curl your toes under. Inhaling, press through the arms, lift the body into tabletop. And then hips lift to the sky, downward facing dog pose. Rooting down through the left foot, the right leg will lift up behind you. Inhaling, draw that foot into your chest, and then step it up right in between the hands. The left toes are going to turn out slightly to about a 60-degree angle on the mat. And then look at your alignment. The heel of the right foot should be in line with the instep of the back foot. We'll take our yoga block and place it to the outside of our right ankle. And then inhaling, lift the torso, but remain in this lunge position. Turning the torso to face forward, the long edge of your mat, while the knee of the bent leg is moving outward toward the pinky toe. Inhaling, the arms will lift to shoulder height. Turning the gaze to look over the right shoulder. Drop the shoulder blades down and pull them in toward the spine. The torso remains in a nice straight line from the tailbone through the crown of the head. This is Warrior Two pose, Virabhadrasana 2. The knee stacked directly over the ankle. The outer edge of the left foot grounding. Breathing, lifting up from a contracted lower belly or pelvic floor. And then inhale, straighten that right knee. Exhale, we're going to bump the left hip towards the back edge of our mat and reach the right ribs out over the forward leg. Drop your right hand to the block that's outside of your ankle. Lift the left arm toward the sky, moving into Utthita Trikonasana. The gaze at the left fingers. Turning from the pelvis, draw the right buttock bone forward, the left upper hip bone, the ACES, moving up and away from the pubic bone. The right side of the rib cage spins forward. And the inhalation, rooting down through the legs, strong abdominal core, rise back up. And then exhale, lower the hands. Turn the right foot inward. Take your block and then spin the left foot toward the other end of your mat. The block is now going to come to the outside of your left ankle. Root down into the outer edge of the right foot and into the base of the left big toe. Check your alignment again. The right instep will be in line with the left heel. And as well, we're again looking to have the torso and the hips facing the long edge of your mat. Take an inhalation, lift the arms to shoulder height. Exhale, turn the gaze to it sitting over the left fingertips and then bend into the knee, the left knee bending. The left knee stacked directly over the left ankle. Again, our torso is in a straight alignment. In Warrior Two, there's a tendency to take the torso along for the ride like this. But we're going to resist back so we feel a straight line through our spine. Breathing slow and deep as we draw the shoulder blades down and pull the bottom tips of the shoulder blades toward the spine. Slow, deep breath. Contracting the lower abdominal muscles and, if you can, contracting the pelvic floor muscles, lifting upward. And then inhale, straighten that left knee and lower your arms. All right, inhale, arms go to the side again. Bump the right side of your hip toward the right end of your mat. The left ribs reaching out over that left leg, and then take your hand down to the block. Right arm to the sky. And then as you're working breath by breath with the posture, the left buttock bone is drawing forward. The right ACES right here and the right upper hip is pulling away from the pubic bone. The left side of the rib cage spins towards the front as the drishti or gaze rests on that right thumb. Slow, deep breath. On the inhalation, pressing through the feet, inhale and rise. Coming back up, and you can take your block along with you. We'll turn the feet again. Place the block down the front of your mat, and we'll step the feet back to Tadasana. Inhaling, lift the arms up overhead. Exhale, floating forward again. The arms are moving through space like it's thick mud. Touch the earth at the bottom. Again, if you have to bend your knees, go ahead. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, bend the knees, place the hands outside of your feet, and step the feet back into high push-up pose. High plank. Exhaling, drop the knees and tops of the feet, bend the elbows, sending them straight back, right alongside the ribs, lower the pelvis, the belly, chest, and chin. Inhale, press the pubic bone down. Anchor the pinky toes down to the mat, and then peel the front body up, vertebrae by vertebrae, lifting into Bhujangasana. Exhale, roll back down. Curl the toes under, lift through tabletop. Downward facing dog pose, the hips lift, the knees straighten. The heels seeking the floor. Rooting down through the left foot, the right leg will lift up. Inhale, draw the knee to the chest. This time, set the foot just to the inside of the right wrist. The left toes will turn out just slightly, just a little bit of a turnout on those left toes. And then before we lift the torso, check out your alignment. The right foot and left foot should be maintaining a hip distance apart on your mat. Press straight down from the right knee through the lower leg bones. Press into the outer edge of your back foot. Inhale, lift the torso, lift the arms. Coming into Warrior One pose. Virabhadrasana 1. We're continuing to anchor into the outer edge of the left foot as we draw the right hip crease toward the back. Pull back. Bring awareness into the inner thigh of your left leg and draw those inner thigh muscles towards the back, the inner groins rolling in. The buttock bones at the bottom of the pelvis are pointed at the earth. As you lift the arms up, the shoulder blades continue to descend down the body, and from the shoulder joint, see if you can roll the arms so that the palms face the back and the thumbs face out. With an inhalation, straighten through the right knee and lower the arms. Step the left foot forward, just about a half of a step. Good. And then we will bring the arms out to shoulder height. Internally rotate from the shoulder joints, rolling the arms in. Take the hands behind the back and either interlace the fingers or take a hold of forearms. If you can, bring the hands to prayer position, fingers pointing down. Or you can turn the palms so the fingers point up and try to lift the hands behind your heart. So whichever hand hold feels good to you in your body. We're moving to Parsvottanasana, extended flank pose. We begin with a little back bend. So try to draw the pubic bone up towards your navel. Lengthen from the navel through your heart and from the heart through your throat. As you exhale, keep that long front body and begin to tip the pelvis, the pubic bone, reaching through the thighs toward the tail, and keep folding and folding, drawing back the right hip crease, engaging the left inner upper groins, rolling to the back, the heart moving down the midline of your mat. Keep lengthening the spine as you inhale and folding into the forward fold as you exhale. Keep the toes soft on the mat, the gaze soft, breath long and deep. Inhaling, softly, slowly begin to lift out of the pose, rising up. And then release your hands and step the left foot forward, back to Tadasana. With an inhalation, the arms sweep up, gaze goes to the thumbs. Exhaling, turn the arms out, floating forward towards Uttanasana. Legs strong as you descend. Inhale, lift halfway up, hands to the legs. Exhale, bend the knees, place the palms onto the mat, and step the feet back into high push-up pose. Exhaling, let the knees and tops of the feet find the mat. Bend the elbows, lowering the pelvis, the belly, chest, and chin. Inhale, root the pubic bone and pinky toes down as you lift into Bhujangasana. Exhaling, rolling back down again. Lengthen in the spine as you come down. Inhale, lift through your tabletop pose. Curl the toes under, lift the hips, downward facing dog pose. Slow, deep breath. Rooting down through the right foot, the left leg is going to lift up behind you. Inhale, draw the knee to the chest and step that left foot up to the inside of your left wrist. The right toes now turn out slightly. And again, maintaining hip distance apart with your feet. Root into the outer edge of the back foot. Press straight down through the lower leg bones of the left foot. Inhale, lift the torso and the arms. Virabhadrasana 1. Pulling gently back on the left hip crease as we roll the upper inner groins of the right leg back. Point the buttock bones at the earth. Anchor to the outer edge of the back foot. Shoulder blades descend down. Roll the upper arm bones so that the palms face the back and the thumbs face outward. Keep the breath long and deep. Next inhalation, straighten the left knee, lower the arms, and then we'll step that right foot forward slightly. Arms go out to the side. Internally rotate from the shoulders. Bring the hands down behind you, interlace the fingers, reach to the floor, or interlace the arms, taking a hold of the forearms as the elbows bend, or palms together, fingers down, or palms together, fingers up. So again, choosing what feels good and right in your shoulders, elbows, and wrists. If even interlacing the fingers behind you is uncomfortable, you could take a yoga belt and hold on to the yoga belt in this way. All right. So again, we begin this posture, Paschimottanasana, with a back bend. Begin lifting the pubic bone upward toward the navel. Lengthen from the navel to the heart. and heart to the throat. Keeping that strong, long front body, begin to fold at the pelvis. The pubic bone reaching toward the floor and then back towards your tailbone. As you fold, the heart goes down the midline of the mat. The left hip crease drawing back. The right upper inner groins rolling to the back. Keep drawing the legs upward, the fronts of the legs up. As you root down through the base of the left toe and the outer edge of the right foot. The inhales lengthen the spine. The exhales soften, releasing into the shape of the posture. Inhaling now, rooting down through the feet and the legs. Lift slowly back up to standing. Release the hands. And then step the right foot forward to Tadasana. Okay, lovely. All right, we're going to take one more vinyasa and bring the practice down to the floor. Inhaling, arms reach up overhead. Exhaling, again, floating forward, pressing the arms as if they're going through mud. Tip the pelvis as you descend down. Touch the earth, even if you have to bend your knees. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, bend the knees. Place the palms onto the mat. And then step the feet back into your high push-up, high plank pose again. Exhale, the knees and tops of the feet come on the mat. Bend the elbows, lower the pelvis, belly, chest, and chin. Rooting down through the pubic bone, press down. Press the pinky toes down. See if you can engage those inner groin muscles to lift up towards the sky. Inhale, press gently into the hands as you lift the torso, lengthening the spine, coming up to your highest expression of Bhujangasana, and we'll breathe here for a few breaths. Keep opening up the belly, letting the lower spine come forward and toward the belly. The shoulder blades down toward the hips. The bottom tips of the shoulder blades toward the spine. The elbows tight to the ribs. Exhale and roll the spine back down. We'll curl the toes under, lift up through tabletop, and then sit back into a wide leg child pose. The arms can come down alongside the legs, forehead to the mat. Slow, deep breath, letting the pelvis feel heavy and dropping downward. Nice counter stretch to the back bend posture. Bringing the hands now under the shoulders, lift up. And then we'll transition to our seat. Bring the legs around to face forward. If you come to this Dandasana posture and you're feeling tension in the hamstrings or tension in the low back, if you feel like in order to be here you need to sort of tip your pelvis back and collapse the front body, all of those are signs that you really could use a little lift. So we can bring, again, our blanket up underneath our buttock bones. And again, when you're using the blanket, the best practice is to put that folded edge of the blanket right up underneath your buttock bones. So it just takes a little bit of the flexion of the hips out, gives you a little bit of room. And then we're going to use our yoga belt. If you don't have a yoga belt, bathrobe tie works really great, or even a little towel, something that you can wrap around your feet. So we'll hold onto the yoga belt as if it's the reins of a horse, the arms extended out towards the feet, but not so much that the shoulders round and we collapse in the chest. We want to keep the shoulder blades descending down and pulling in around the spine so we feel our heart is open and bright, receptive. Yes. So root through those buttock bones. Inhale and lengthen the spine. Press up through the crown of the head. With an exhalation, begin tipping the pelvis. Feel the pelvis is rocking forward on the ball joints of the femurs as you descend down. The hands can walk down the strap towards the feet, doing your best to not allow the chest to pull in and collapse, but the shoulder blades remaining back and down. It's as if you're a hardcover book, right? And you're just closing the cover of the book. Hands walking down. If you reach your feet, you might be able to take your peace fingers around your big toes again. Or maybe grabbing a hold of the outer edges of the feet. Just depends on the length of your arms and the length of your hamstrings and low back muscles. So we breathe here for a few breaths. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. Exhaling and folding forward. Inhaling, lengthen the spine. Exhale and maybe fold a little more. One more breath this way. If you're still using the strap, let go of the strap. Extend the hands. Inhale and rise up. The arms coming up overhead. Exhale and float your hands down. Great. We'll keep the strap around the feet and bend both knees, bringing the soles of the feet together and the knees out to the sides. If you're coming to this posture and your knees are up high because your hip joints are tight, this is a place where we can use our yoga blocks. And so the block can tuck up underneath your thigh so that there's not so much stress and strain coming down the adductor muscles and in the hip joints, right? So using that block to whatever degree you may need, and if you don't need it, of course, set to the side. So I asked you to use your strap because some may need this, and it helps to keep the body nice and upright, the torso upright. If you've come to the posture and as the more advanced expression, we interlace the fingers and take them underneath the feet. If you try to do that and you have to round the spine to get there, it's really better to keep the hands on the strap and pull up with the strap to keep that nice upright posture. So this pose is called Baddha Konasana, or bound angle posture. So we inhale and press off the buttock bones and lift the spine. The shoulder blades descend down the back body and pull in toward the spine. Press gently down with the bent legs, trying to open the legs as if they were the petals of a lotus blossom floating on the surface of the water. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. Exhaling and pressing the legs down. If your hands are around your feet, we're pulling up on the feet as the legs are descending down. So 2 more breaths working in this way. Beautiful. And then soften softly releasing the tension of the posture. If you're using your strap, we can take the strap off now and extend the legs slowly out in front of you. Okay, great. Now I'd like us to transition down onto the floor, onto our backs. Setting the blanket aside, and we'll bend both knees, bringing the feet so that the heels are directly underneath the knees and the feet set hip distance apart. The palms of the hands will be on the mat outside of your hips. And then with your inhalation, begin to tip the pelvis back so that the small of the back is pressing into the floor. Keep the knees in line with the hip joints and begin to press through the legs to lift the bottom up off of the mat. Moving to Setu Bandhasana or bridge pose. Interlace the fingers underneath your bottom if you can, and if you can't interlace the fingers, then again we can use the strap to hold onto the strap to whatever length you can. So once you've got a hold, we can try to draw one shoulder blade at a time a little bit further up underneath us so that we're riding onto the backs of the upper arms. If you can, press the outer wrists down into the mat. And again, try to tip the pelvis so that the pubic bone is lifting toward the navel. Again, we'll press through the legs, trying to lift a little higher. Elongate through your neck so that the chin is not reaching toward your sternum, but that your sternum or breastbone is lifting up towards your chin. Keep lifting as far as the body is comfortably going. Setu Bandhasana, bridge pose. And then with the next exhalation, we'll unlace the fingers or let go of the strap if you're using that. And vertebrae by vertebrae, roll the spine back down onto the mat. Once your sacrum finds the mat, we're going to draw one knee at a time up into the chest, pulling down. And then you can bring both knees into the chest, giving them a little squeeze down. Nice. And then let's elongate the legs, lifting the lower legs up toward the sky, and see if you can grab a hold of the instep of your feet and press straight down through those lower leg bones, the knees going out to the sides. For a nice happy baby stretch. Big stretch into the hips. Taking a few breaths here. You can rock from side to side on your pelvis if you like. Or you could keep the pelvis neutral and press down on one foot at a time, deepening the stretch into each hip. Good. Nicely done. Now we're going to lower the left foot down onto the floor and bring the right ankle over the top of the left knee. Then lift the left foot up off the floor and take your hands and interlace them behind that left knee. The right elbow is going to come in contact with the inner right thigh. Exhaling, draw that bent knee that's lifted off the floor towards your chest as you resist the right elbow against that inner right thigh. So breathing here. A nice deep stretch in through the deep hip rotator muscles, the deep gluteal muscles. Keep drawing the knee towards your chest as you resist the right elbow against the right inner thigh. One more breath here. And then release and place the left foot back down on the mat. We'll release the right foot to the mat and then the left ankle over top of the right knee. Lifting the foot up off the floor, interlace the fingers behind the right knee and draw that right leg towards you as the left elbow resists the left inner thigh away from you, pressing away as you pull the right leg towards you. Again, deep, deep stretch into the hip rotator muscles and the deep gluteal muscles. Beautiful stretch for anybody who ever suffers any tightness in the SI joints or in the piriformis muscle, any discomfort with the sciatic nerve. One more long, deep breath. And then with an exhale, the right foot will come down onto the mat. And then extend both legs out. Great. Okay, one more nice bit of work for the hip joints. We're going to bend the right knee, bringing that up towards your chest. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. And then gently draw that right knee up and across towards your left shoulder. Just another way to get after those hip rotator joints on the right side. Nice and gentle. Exhaling, releasing that leg, slide it back on out, and then we'll bring the left knee up, right hand to the outside of the left knee. And then the left knee is drawing up and across towards the right shoulder. We're going to avoid rolling to bring it into a twist, because then we'll lose the action of this posture that we're looking for. It's just really getting after those deep gluteal muscles and hip rotator muscles. One more breath. And then a soft release. We'll let that leg come all the way back down onto the mat and extend your legs out to the side a little bit farther than hip distance apart. Let your arms come down onto the mat, rolling open from the shoulder joints, and let the backs of the hands rest down onto the earth. The tongue falls away from the upper palate, the eyes will close. Bring your awareness into your heart center again. Reminding yourself of your intentions for your practice today. Soften any places in the body that are holding tension. Pose Shavasana is an essential part of any yoga practice. This is the place where we take our practice from the outer physical practices to the inner meditative practices. In Shavasana, we often get to bear witness to the busyness of the thinking mind. And it's an opportunity to draw our awareness into a state of objective observation of that busy thinking mind. Eventually pulling our awareness away from those thoughts and towards the expanded state of consciousness of stillness and bliss. Yoga gives us a marvelous tool to begin to hold the mind's focus into a singular place, and that is the practice of mantra. So I invite you, as you rest the body in Shavasana, to breathe in and silently chant Soham, With your exhalation, silently chant Hung Sa. So hum, Hung Sa. The mantra translates to I am that I am, or simply I am. You could use that mantra if the Sanskrit is not comfortable for you. Simply breathing in I, silently chanting am. I invite you to stay in Shavasana for at least 5 minutes, enjoying the deep rest and the contemplation upon the mantra. And after your 5 minutes, or maybe even you stay for 10 minutes if you have time, when you're ready to release your Shavasana, begin to slowly wiggle the fingers and toes, roll the wrists and ankles. Bend into your left knee and roll yourself over to the right. Press into the floor with the left hand and slowly rise, returning back to a seated position. The hands at the heart at Anjali Mudra. Taking a moment to give thanks for your practice. Thanks for the awareness, the insights gained. Finishing our practice with a single chant of the mantra Om. Namaste.